Hello, and welcome back to the first episode of Season 2 in what is now my AlphaTauri driver career mode. Yes, we have signed for AlphaTauri in my driver career mode. We have signed for AlphaTauri even though they are a worse team on the grid than what Aston Martin were last year. We do have a clause in the contract that if we do well and we are needed, we will be called up to drive for Red Bull if needed, as that was the main turning point in the contract negotiations between going to AlphaTauri or making the move across to Alfa Romeo. Both teams were interested in our drive, as we eventually ended up choosing AlphaTauri with those links to Red Bull, last season's Constructors' Champions. But for now, we got to go through our first qualifying session of the year, and I can confirm that this will be the last short qualifying session of this series, as we are now moving on to full qualifying to try and give us a bit more chance of getting some higher grid positions in this race. We set a pretty abysmal first lap time, so that's going to put us in P6, ending up in P20 as we go to start our second lap of the session. Hopefully one of the last times where we'll set 3 laps in a single session. As you can see, we're immediately finding time at the start of this qualifying lap, almost 2 temps up already, and we've only just completed turn 1. But hey, let's try and get up here. Albon says a 28.494 in the first sector. We're 4 tenths up on our lap, as right now we are a bit actually slower than Albon through the first sector. We're going to hopefully improve in the middle sector. So we had a pretty abysmal turn 10 complex, the tricky downhill braking. We have another snap coming out of turn 9. Actually, that might be turn 8. As down there you can see, we're gaining so much time on the exit of that corner, even through that corner. We're now 7 tenths up on our previous lap time. We've got to find a bit of performance here, otherwise our lap time is probably not going to put us that high up the grid. We've still got pretty decent times. We find a bit more coming through the final corner, and our second lap is going to come across the line 8.5 tenths quicker in P14, a tenth off our teammate, as that is exactly where we want to be. Pierre is faster than us a lot in the first sector, but we're faster than him in the second and third sectors. Coming on to our final lap now to try and get ourselves, hopefully maybe vault ourselves up into the top 10, which I believe would be our first top 10 qualifying from merit if we manage to actually do it. But for now, bit of an abysmal start to the lap, bit of a screen freeze there, didn't help us at all. But right now, braking a bit later into turn 1 allows us to find about a tenth on braking, but we're going to lose it all as we run a bit wide. But we do keep some time with 3 100ths up on our lap. Qualifying complete now as we go through the turn 10 complex. We lose it into the turn. We're going to gain a bit back, only 5 100ths of a second up on our lap, not where we need to be. We were 7 100ths back from Gasly, as we're now losing out on our lap, but we managed to gain the time back on exit. 10.5, 2 tenths up on our lap. Hopefully more to find. We're 3 tenths up now coming into the final run to the line. 4 tenths now. DRS activated. We cross the line. As what position are we going to be in? It's P8. That's our first top 10 quali of this series. As you can see there, my very nice new helmet. I really like it. We out-qualify our teammate by around 4 tenths of a second. Very good lap by us. I don't think he actually managed to improve on his final lap time, but we are going to be starting P8 for the race, so let's get into it.
No more testing, no more practice. this is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. We go racing today around the 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit, with 15 corners and 2 good passing opportunities into turns 1 and 4. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left tyre into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Russell, Fernando Alonso and Hamilton, Norris, the engineer, Schwartzman and Daniel Ricciardo, Ocon, Bottas, Pierre Gasly and Joe, Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, Alex Albon and Sebastian Vettel. Tsunoda and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula 1 underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Okay guys, we are still lining up P8, no engine penalties as they were not expected in this race. We're lining up P7 on the medium compound tyres. Norris, well, behind us at the moment, but ahead of us on the grid on softs. And Ricciardo, his teammate, behind him on softs as well. McLaren's going for an aggressive strategy. We're going for a more conservative strategy of the mediums to hards. Lining up on the grid though, this is going to be a new season, our first race for the Red Bull family. We're driving for AlphaTauri. Lewis Hamilton ahead of us, Norris alongside us. What can we do in this race? We're going to hopefully find out, hopefully score our first points of the season in the first race. But that is all to find out. So we're going to 5 red lights. World champion Charles Leclerc on pole. As we go green in Bahrain, pretty decent start from us. Lando Norris gets an amazing start on the softs. We're going to go a bit conservative into turn 1, wanting to keep our wing, which allows us to be sandwiched by Esteban Ocon and Daniel Ricciardo. Bit of banging there, not any terminal damage, as Ricciardo now shoots it up the inside of Esteban Ocon. He had the overspeed there. We are now defending from the Australian. Very quick starting on those soft tyres. We squeeze him to the outside and we're going to keep our P8 with held position at the start. It's not the best, but we're going to have to work from here. Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton ahead. He's very close to us on the performance charts, as AlphaTauri are around 6th, but from 6th to 3rd there is basically nothing. McLaren lead the little pack from 3rd, then it's Mercedes, then Alpine, and then ourselves, with Red Bull and Ferrari miles ahead of the rest of the pack. So I expect them to do well in this race. We're just losing a bit of time to Hamilton and a bit of deja vu from the start of last season, as we're defending from Daniel Ricciardo on softs. And if you remember what happened last season on the softs, Daniel Ricciardo gave us side pod and floor damage because he smashed into the side of us. But this season we're going to defend from Ricciardo and drop him into the clutches of Esteban Ocon, who's now up the inside of the McLaren driver. They're going to go side by side for the tight twisty middle section of this lap, losing themselves time. We're hopefully going to be able to pull away from this a bit. Maybe Robert Schwartzman, his first race in the Mercedes, the rookie behind them, might be able to capitalise on their fighting. Esteban Ocon has the outside, Ricciardo has the inside. Ocon gets forced wide and he's spun. Ocon gets spun round. He gets forced onto the curb by Ricciardo, and that's the Frenchman's race kind of ruined at this point. We have built up a bit of a gap to Ricciardo, but he still is on those soft tyres, which is most definitely a lot faster than the mediums at this point. We've got to gain a bit more to Hamilton as well, as we are dropping back from a bit. I don't know if Ricciardo's maybe got damage from Ocon spinning and their fight there, as he seems to be dropping quite a bit of pace now. Might just be a bit flustered from knocking out the Alpine, but we got our own race to focus on. We're in P2. We're almost colliding into the back of Hamilton, as we're definitely gaining in those braking zones. Max Verstappen, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He leads this race from the 2 Ferraris, and then I believe that is the Alpine of Fernando Alonso up ahead, defending from Lando Norris, and then Russell and Hamilton, and then ourselves in P8, Ricciardo P9, and Schwartzman in P10. Looking back a bit here now, Lando Norris trying to attack Fernando Alonso. DRS is now activated. Alonso doesn't get that DRS from Sainz, so he'll be not able to open the rear wing, which means Norris with the DRS is going to be able to try and maybe make a move on the Spaniard ahead. He pulls out to the inside, but he's going slow. That's definitely going slow for the McLaren. He gets passed by Russell, and he's pulling off. Oh, and the smoke coming out the back. He's had an engine issue. Oh, what a shame for the Brit in the McLaren. Nothing he could do there, really. Opening race of the season, not going too well for Norris. But his teammate is still behind us, still closing in. We're looking to fight Lewis Hamilton ahead for what is now going to be P6, as we're very much on the verge of scoring some pretty decent points in this opening race. Maybe try and push ourselves a bit up in the order. We finished P11 in the Drivers' Championship last season with not much really to play for in the Aston Martin. Can the AlphaTauri development push us up to lofty heights? I don't know. It's the first race of the season. You guys will have to stick around to find out. Hamilton ahead of us. Ricciardo is slowly still gaining on us. His softs, though, I believe are going to be going off soon in a few moments. We're setting our fastest lap of the race at this point. We're going to have slipstream on Hamilton. He's not going to be getting DRS from the car ahead of Russell, so we're going to be able to get the rear wing open. Hamilton is not. We're right behind him. We get a little bit of snap on exit, which forces us to go wide. Deploying ERS down the straight. Tries to save a little bit here. We have the DRS open. We're going to try and go up the inside of Lewis Hamilton. Try and copycat move that we did for Ricciardo before. We were defending before. Try and switch back the 7-time World Championship. 7-time World Championship. But he puts his car in the perfect position, and we're still behind the British drivers. He locks up ahead of us. He's given us the free position. We're up into P6. Hamilton locks up. That's not going to do his tyres any good in this race, and that's allowed us to push up ahead. But fighting with Hamilton has allowed Ricciardo back into this squabble on those soft tyres. We are still going to try and hold out our position ahead, as now going into turn one. Again, we get the braking a bit wrong. We run wide, and that's going to invite Hamilton and Ricciardo with DRS to have another go at us on the straight. We managed to defend against them for that lap, but they're going to have another bite of the cherry through the next few sections. They're only Hamilton less than 2 tenths behind us going into the tight, twisty middle section. Ricciardo not far behind us. Schwartzman is very slowly gaining on this fight, as a little bit of race order for you. Verstappen in first, Charles Leclerc second, and Carlos Sainz third. Not much has changed in the first few laps, as our teammate Pierre Gasly's fallen down to P14 in this race. Hopefully he can try and make up some more positions. Hamilton now has DRS on us. We're deploying ERS, but we kind of not want to fight him that hard. Let him pass. We are going to fight him a little bit. That's just so he doesn't get the better line. He did compromise our line a bit, but we are 5 seconds back from Russell, so there's no point in fighting Hamilton too lightly, as there's not much really to lose from being up ahead. It's just staying in this pack, maybe hoping for a safety car to try and bunch us back together. But at this point, I'm thinking P6 might be the best position that we can have in this race. Down the straight, lap 6 now. Hamilton ahead, Ricciardo behind us. We're going to have DRS on Hamilton. This story is just going over and over and over again of DRS games with Hamilton and Ricciardo. Ricciardo's tyres must be going off soon, unless that McLaren has some very insane tyre wear upgrades. We're still going to go through single file through turn 1. Bit of a different line for ourselves compared to the AI. I don't really know if it's faster or slower. We seem to be about the same. Maybe losing a bit to Hamilton ahead, but he's not in dirty air, so we can't really compare it to him. Through the middle sector, we're going to try and make a few gains on Hamilton so that maybe with the DRS in the middle back straight, we might be able to just make up some moves through there. But it looks more likely that Ricciardo's going to be making some moves on us. We're just making mistake after mistake after mistake. We run a bit wide again, missed the apex by a country mile there. We're still going to have DRS, but Ricciardo is now right on the back of us. We both have DRS. Does the McLaren have the pace to get past us on the straight? It looks like we're just going to be able to hold him off for the minute, but that is getting worrying how long that McLaren's running at such high pace on the softs. And I'm starting to think at this point, maybe we try and do a bit of an alternate strategy. Maybe we go mediums to softs. I'm not sure. We're going to see when Ricciardo pits, see how many laps he does on those, and see how many we'd have to go on mediums. But at this point, we're very much open to either pitting normally for the hards or going long and trying to risk it for the soft tyres at the end. But although one thing I do notice is we don't have any new soft tyres to use. But for now, that doesn't matter. Car's pitting ahead. We're up into P4. We're going to try and go up the inside of Hamilton. We have DRS, slowly controlled braking into turn 1. We have the inside line and we're now up ahead. We're going to have the DRS to try and pull away from Hamilton. He doesn't have the threat of Ricciardo behind as he pitted on lap 9. Sainz takes the lead of the race on soft tyres. Might be a bit crucial for the Spaniard. Only 10 seconds ahead of us. As I'm thinking maybe a safety car or something might help us in this race. But we're going to have to be pretty lucky to get one of those, as we're still defending from Hamilton behind. And then Schwartzman in the Mercedes. If Hamilton and I fight, his teammate might be able to bring himself back in this race. But Hamilton and I really don't want to fight, as we completely lock up on the curb, go wide. That's going to invite Hamilton back at us through DRS for about the 3rd time in this race. Hamilton's making a pass on us on this middle straight, as we're going to fight it back. We don't want to fight too much, because that would mean we're just losing out time to Ricciardo. As now Hamilton, he should be in a faster car, so maybe just following him might be beneficial for our race. But we're a racing driver. We want to be ahead. We want to be controlling the pace of this train. Once again, though, don't want to lose too much time to Ricciardo. Now Carlos Sainz comes to the pits. George Russell takes over the lead of the race. We're going to be moving up into the podium places of 3rd place here in this race. Hamilton just a little bit too fast for us on the straights. I think he's starting to use the DRS. I think this might possibly be in-lap pace from Hamilton. I'm not 100% sure, as I assume he'd probably be able to go a little bit longer, but he has definitely put the burners on. He might just be trying to pull a gap from us, see if Schwartzman can then maybe break into our DRS, but we're going to keep with the Brit in the Mercedes. We're in an AlphaTauri. Can we maybe try and keep it with him? He is probably going to be our main target in this race, as I don't think we have any other chance of getting ahead of him. But now on to lap 12. Can we have another go at the Mercedes? Man, we have the DRS. We're going to close in on him. We're trying to get around his outside. Just can't quite make it. Hamilton defending beautifully in the Mercedes. But we're going to have a second bite of the cherry. But I think Hamilton's just got a too good exit for us, as we have actually pulled quite a bit of a gap to Schwartzman, the rookie in this season. Quite excited to see what he'll be able to do in the Mercedes. A very prestigious team to be joining as a rookie. But hey, you never know. He might have done really well in F2. I don't know. I don't know in the simulated universe. But now on lap 13 onto 14, we're going to come into the pits for a change onto hard compound tyres. Following Hamilton in, I've decided it was the better strategy to just match whatever Hamilton does, because whatever we do, we're going to have better tyre wear than Ricciardo. We have a bit of a slow stop getting out of the actual box, and Hamilton's going to gain some time on us. On the pit exit though, we're going to have cold tyres. Can we see what we can do? We're going to be side by side almost with Ricciardo. He's just ahead of us. We get a wash of understeer there, and we actually hit Daniel Ricciardo. There's a bit of carbon fibre in turn 1 as well. We get a warning for collision from Ricciardo. That is completely fair. We had cold tyres. We had a bit of understeer. Right now, we now have DRS. I don't know who we got it from, but we are going to get back ahead of Daniel Ricciardo on lap 14. He gets back ahead of us though as we run a bit wide. These tyres still need to be heated up as we've just come out of the pits. Daniel Ricciardo's had quite a few laps to heat up his tyres, but he's also had quite a few laps to put some wear and tear on those hard compound tyres. Maybe we use the McLaren to try and pull up to Hamilton again, as Hamilton's made quite a gap. He's heated up these tyres real nice. We're still struggling with them, as you can see they're getting snaps on the exit. We still got DRS on Ricciardo, but we are losing a little bit of pace to the Australian. Vettel behind us on hards is in P11. We're in P10. There's still people ahead of us to pit, such as the likes of Schwartzman. And there's also people that pitted earlier, which we might be able to get a little bit of pace on. Deploying ERS now on the back straight. Try and get back in DRS of Daniel Ricciardo. We're just going to get it coming into the main straight to start lap 50. We need to pull up to Ricciardo, try and overtake him as his tyres are going to wear pretty quickly. As you can see, Leclerc in the pits, Schwartzman in the pits. We come out ahead of them. We're going to try and move up to Daniel Ricciardo here, braking a little bit later, running wide, but that is going to bring us actually a tiny bit closer here. We are slowly bringing these tyres into temperature, into that temperature window. We are burning our ERS quite a bit though. We do have pretty good ERS, not as good as we did in the Aston Martin though, which means we are going to have to do a little bit more managing of our ERS, but upgrades will come thick and fast for this car, hopefully trying to boost ourselves up the order. But the AI do have more acclaim rate than ourselves, so we might not be able to outdevelop them. I don't know, but for now we got to focus on the race at hand. Daniel Ricciardo ahead of us. We're definitely reeling the McLaren in bit by bit with DRS and ERS. We are slowly closing in about half a second to the McLaren now. Lewis Hamilton has bolted up the road, not able to really capitalize on pitting with him, as we kind of get held up by Ricciardo and I squabbling. But now on the main straight, back straight now, but on the main straight we're going to have to try and make a move, try and pass Ricciardo, and then try and use our fresh hard compound tyres to move back up to the likes of Lewis Hamilton, who is now in P5 at this moment in the race, as though we still have the fast Charles Leclerc behind us. But I believe he pitted for wing damage. Can we go for the long range move on Ricciardo? But our engine's going to think differently, and we've had a full-blown engine failure in the first race of the season. Well, that is really the perfect start to our season, isn't it? We were on for maybe P6, maybe even P5 in this race, but our engine is just going to give out on lap, I believe it was 16. That is not what we could have hoped for to start our career at Red Bull. As similar to real life, we have an engine failure in the exact same place that Pierre Gasly did in 2022. We park it up in the exact same place. Are we going to cause the safety car that loses Max Verstappen his win? No, we're not. Red Bull have won the season opener in Bahrain with a 1-2 finish. Max Verstappen finishing ahead of George Russell. Carlos Sainz in third, picking up the scraps for Ferrari, as yeah, no AlphaTauris behind them. I think we could have put our car there. I think we could have got P5 or maybe P6. One of those. I don't think we deserve that engine failure, but hey, we can't do anything about it now. Our technically a teammate in this thing, our sister team Red Bull, have got a 1-2 finish in the season opener. We're obviously supposed to be happy for them, but I'm not a Red Bull fan. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone who's watched any previous videos. But we are trying to move into Red Bull. We have signed for AlphaTauri, but yeah. Not the best we could have hoped for the season opener, but hey, I guess it shows we need a bit more durability and a bit more luck in these races. But what it does show us is that we had the pace. Our teammate Pierre Gasly finishes in 9th. So that shows that the car has the pace to get into the points. And hopefully big points in this race. You can see, I think we probably could have got P6. I think we were faster than Ricciardo. We might be able to maybe defend against Charles Leclerc. But I think we should have got a few more points in that race than we did. But we can't really do anything about it now. The Lando Norris DNF as well. Yuki Tsunoda, the person we're replacing, is last. Not doing that well in the Williams. We can see in the standings we are 9th with Pierre Gasly and 6th in the Constructors' Championship. Starting where we left off last season, but with a different team this time, and still battling with our closest rivals, Haas. Hey, I can't swap teams when we're fighting Haas. Yeah.